Welcome back. Today we'll be starting on 3D modeling. The basic idea of 3D modeling is manipulating geometry in 3 dimensions enough that it resembles a shape in 3D space. 3D models are made of vertex, lines and faces connected together. If we connect 2 vertices, we get a line, and if we have 3 vertices connected, closing a shape, we can have a face. Having multiple faces can form polygons, which becomes a 3D mesh. This form can now use a material to display textures and control how it is rendered. These lines and points don't appear when we are rendering, but they do influence how their materials will behave. So basically, 3D modeling is like creating forms such as sculpting, using 3D geometry to define their forms. Manipulating 3D objects inside Blender by default are the following commands: G to move, R to rotate, S to scale. Now, how can we manipulate the geometry of 3D models in Blender? If you select any 3D object and press Tab, you enter the Edit mode. For 3D objects, this is the mode which you can manipulate its 3D geometry, such as points, line or faces. Inside the Edit mode for a 3D object, you can switch between selection modes: 1 for points, 2 for lines, and 3 to faces. As you can see here, these icons display the current selection mode. So, by selecting an object, entering in Edit mode, choosing a selection mode for the geometry, and manipulating the 3D mesh, you can start modeling. Now, as you notice, the cube only has 8 points. We can generate more points or edit the mesh in different ways. By pressing T in Edit mode, you can see we have a lot of ways to edit the geometry. You can select any of them to use when you press the left mouse button, though you will need to drag mode to activate the tool. This menu controls what dragging the left mouse button will do. On the top here we can see you have a menu for vertex, edge and face. These commands will perform operations on your selection, helping you to model what you want. These menus can be called using Ctrl V for vertex menu, Ctrl E for edge menu, and Ctrl F for face menu. Each menu holds operations for that specific selection. So, let's make a low-poly house to put in practice everything we talked about. Let's go quickly here on viewport shading and make sure you are using cavity. It makes these beautiful highlights on the geometry on your viewport. Also notice these 2 menus here. They are quite important when you are modeling. We'll explore them later in great detail, and what you can do with it. For now, choose Global Transform Orientations and Active Transform Pivot Points. So, let's make our house. Add a plane as our starting point. Select it and go to the Edit mode. Press 3 to enter Face Selection mode and select the plane. We'll now press Ctrl F to open the Face Editing menu. Here we can see that Extrude Faces is mapped to the hotkey E. So select Extrude Faces. If you move your mouse, you can see what is happening. Now we need to confirm it where we want to extrude the faces. Let's type on our keyboard 2 and press the left mouse button to confirm. We just extruded the plane face to a cube about 2 units in the normal axis of this face, which is the direction that the face is pointing, which in this case was Z. In Blender, Z is up by default. Now select the top part of the cube and press Shift D. We are now duplicating the face. If we move our mouse, we can tell where we want it. Let's type 1. We want to move this face up by 1 unit. So now the last thing remaining is to press Z. We are telling Blender to move our selection 1 unit on the Z axis, which on global orientation is up. Press left mouse button or enter to confirm the operation. Now let's create a roof. Press Ctrl E to open the Edge menu. Here we want the loop cut and slide operation. You can see here that the hotkey currently mapped to, which is Ctrl R. Select it. Now press the left mouse button. You will notice we can cut any face using the loop cut. now we have two faces. Let's go to the edge selection mode by pressing 2 and select the middle line. Let's move that line up by 0.5. We are starting to see a roof. So let's select the roof by pressing L with the mouse pointing at the roof. L is a mesh selection hotkey. It is going to select all the faces, edges or points that are connected together. Now hover around and notice that one of the faces selected is white. That was the last face selected. Because we are using the active transform pivot point, it's going to apply operations to the active selection. Because that face was the last selected, if you try to scale the roof, you'll see that the roof scaling out of the house. So, still with the selection, go to the edge selection mode and select the top line. Because that line is on the middle of the roof, our operations are now centered to the house. Now let's scale the roof by 1.2. We will now have the roof on our house. Let's create a connection point for a house, press Ctrl R to call again the loop cut and slide. Let's create a loop here. Now select the middle top and move it by 0.5. Let's go to the face selection mode by pressing 3 and select both faces of the roof. Extrude the faces, cancel the extrude moving operation. Now press G and Z and type 0.1. Now we have a roof. Clear the selection and select the roof again using L. Now connect the two pieces by moving it down. Let's make a door now. Go to the edge selection mode and select the line on the bottom of the house. Duplicate it using Shift D and cancel the moving operation by right-clicking it. Now we want to move it to the front. In this case, it's the green axis, which is Y. So let's do G plus Y and type 0.05. So it's just a little farther for the house. Let's extrude the line up. And now press Z and type 1.8. Now select the door face and make the bottom part the active selection. Scale it down by 0.7. Extrude it until it crosses the house. Now we have a small door. Let's make a small inset. Press Ctrl F to open the face menu and inset faces, which is mapped here as hotkey to I, and type 0.05. Now let's extrude it using the mouse. We got now a small house with a door. Now, as you may have noticed, we could have modeled this house in a number of different ways. The important part here was to start your modeling experience inside Blender. You can try to further model the house by adding a window, or try to recreate the house on your own. This will help you to memorize the commands and operations. A tip here is not to worry about precision or quality, especially if you are just beginning to make 3D models. Quantity over quality is more important at the moment. Keep modeling and you will start to get the mindset and your models will become gradually better and easier to make. But that is for today. If you enjoyed this video, give a like, and if you want to see more of it, subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't lose a new video. I thank you for watching and see you on the next one. Bye!